1. And welcome to the Financial and Administrative Services Committee meeting of August 29th. On this committee, we have people I've forgotten about immediately. Mayor Clayton, Councillor Bressie, and who else is? Councillor Plott. Thank you. I'd already scanned down my agenda, so I couldn't get back to that part. We're going to start with service area update, as we have no delegations here. So, Ms. Chief Whiteway.
Thank you, Chair Blackmore. So just a few quick updates from the service area. So assessment and taxation, the assessment appeals are coming to an end. So next week is the last scheduled hearings for those. Financial service is quite heavy into budget preparation. So all departments have submitted their budgets to finance. They have been vetted and are at corporate leadership review at this time. For procurement, there are currently 5 bids on the market, with 1 more expected to be posted later today. So I'll just highlight some of those that are available for bid. We have our annual fire hydrant and sprinkler services, locksmith services, installation of bus shelters, storm pipe repairs for Crystal Lake Estates, and sprinkler and fire alarm system design and construction supervision for the Golden Age Center. And later today, you will see posted a request for quote for day use lockers at the Eastlink Aquatics for their change rooms. Finally, GIS, ITS is supporting the GPREP activation, so a lot of that team is there. Additionally, transition to supporting winter operations. So GIS is refreshing pothole apps and the snow removal app to be ready for this winter. And additionally, we're doing a license audit for our organization. So that continues on just to ensure that we have appropriate software licenses and to right size where needed. Thank you.
Chief Whiteway, can you elaborate a little bit on the Eastlink Center lockers? Like, there already have lockers, so are they replacing them or?
Thank you, Chair Blackmore. So I don't have the actual RFQ in front of me, but it is for the change room in the aquatics, which I know some of them have been needing replaced for a number of years. So there is a project that was previously funded for that exact, for what's out on the market today, or going out on the market today.
Okay, thanks. Are there any other questions for Chief Whiteway? I see no hands popping up, so we will move right along to item 3.2, which is the bylaw C801 Downtown Business Improvement Area Bylaw Amendment. And Chief Whiteway, would you like to introduce that?
Thank you. So this is an annual occurrence, and we have just a few updates as well. Scott Smith will go through the report with you.
Thank you, Chair Blackmore. So before you today is just an update to Bylaw C801, which is our bylaw for our downtown business improvement area. This bylaw has been around since 1983, and it's modified or changed every few years just to keep it updated. So we have consulted with the Downtown Association, and a couple small changes have been made to the bylaw. The first is just some wording to our former corporate services director title, is now our CFO. And the other change is to section 8A, which is a update to a meeting attendance rule for board members that sit. Previously, it stated that a board member could be removed if they miss 3 meetings in a row. It's been modified to now state that the board member could be dismissed if they miss 50% or more of the last 10 meetings. So those are the only 2 changes to the bylaw. And we're, of course, asking committee recommend council give 3 readings to bylaw C801G. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Apologies. Councillor Bressie.
Thank you, Councillor Blackmore. I don't have any questions, but I'm happy to do the business of recommending that committee recommend council give 3 readings to this bylaw.
That motion is in order. I will have a question after we complete the business for this. Is there any further discussion about the motion? I'll call the question then. And that carries unanimously. Mr. Scott, my question is, Mr. Smith, my question is, when the business improvement comes to council for approval of the tax levy, there is a long series of motions that need to be required or that are required for that currently. Is there any way to reduce the number of motions, or is that prescribed to us by outside sources?
A lot of it does come through outside sources, Chair Blackmore, through the MGA, of course. We're looking at it right now to try to modify that, to try to combine. There's 3 bylaws, I believe, that are passed. So that would be 9 readings for council. We're trying to knock that down to limit that, to maybe combine a couple of those bylaws. So next year, hopefully you see some changes to that coming forward.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we can move on to the next item, which is Bylaw C1468, the CEIP, or Clean Energy Improvement Program bylaw. And I would look for Chief Whiteway to introduce this again.
Thank you again, Chair Blackmore. So there's 3 recommendations today that the Financial and Administrative Services Committee recommend council give 3 readings to Bylaw C-1439A, being an amendment to the Clean Energy Improvement Tax Bylaw. Second recommendation is that committee recommend council amend the 2022 capital plan and update the funding sources for the Clean Energy Improvement Program as described in your agenda package, as well as committee recommends council give first reading to Bylaw C-1468 as presented. So I won't go through the whole report. I will just touch on a couple items here. The Clean Energy Improvement Program will result in minimal financial implications for the city. The financing offered to residents will be recuperated over the useful life of any upgrades. The interest incorporated into the financing is sufficient to offset any interest payments on the loan repayment and offset administrative costs related to administering the program. As per the MGA, Section 252.2, a borrowing made by a municipality to pay for costs associated with clean energy improvements does not count against the debt limit or debt servicing limit of the municipality. So administration is recommending that the required amendments be made, and this will ensure compliance with the Municipal Government Act, as well as ensure residents are able to access funding to the Clean Energy Improvement Program in a timely manner. Thank you.
And do we have any questions about this? I will go first to Councillor Resty and then Councillor Palat.
Great, thank you. I'm just curious, since how is the commercial side of this program going along? I know where the residential side is, but I don't know how the commercial side of this is.
Thank you, through the chair. So I don't have an update on the commercial. As of right now, we haven't started. We've only started with the residential. We do have it included in our budget planning going forward. So expect an update probably closer to budget deliberations or at budget deliberations on that commercial piece.
Thank you.
And Councillor Palat.
Thanks, Chair Blackmore. Just looking in the report, the original motion was for 2.788, and when I add these 3 up, there's a couple $100,000 difference on that. So is that extra $200,000? If I'm understanding, where's that sitting now, from what was approved, and then what this report's going to have? I think it was 202,000 or something. So I'm just wondering, is that sitting in capital tax now, or where would that funding be?
Thank you, through the chair. So when it had been originally approved in the 2022 capital plan, no funding source was identified. So it was a to be determined. We are now at the stage where we have worked closely with FCM on this and what is required for us for funding, what's required for the loan, and those sorts of details, as this is something newer for us, or it is a new program for us. So that is why the amendments have been recommended today. So I guess to answer your question, there was no funding assigned, so there is nothing kind of sitting and waiting. We're making the appropriate adjustments and correcting our original estimates from 2022.
Okay. Well, it's nice to see we're lower than higher, so that's always appreciated. Thanks.
And Mayor Clayton.
I'll pass. Thank you.
Okay. I have one question that doesn't really affect the motion, but so when residents apply and are awarded approval of their grant process, then the money goes from us, the city, directly to the contractors. Is that correct?
That is correct.
It doesn't go through a third party, or it's a bit of you're going in a bit of a circle when you apply for this grant. So I'm just wondering if the payment is more direct than the application process.
Thank you for the question, Chair Blackmore. Yes, it is more direct to the contractors that have been approved in the program.
Good, thank you. And the maximum lifetime of any product is 20 years, so there is a maximum there. Mayor Clayton.
Another question pop up. I'm curious, and you don't have to answer it now if you don't know. It just might be useful information in budget deliberation, decision making on behalf of council. How do we expect to unroll the commercial part of it? Would it be in collaboration with Environmental Services and InvestGP through our business retention people? I'm just curious how we would plan to roll that out.
Thank you, through the chair. I do not have the answer. If Chief Glavin has more information he could provide, I would welcome that. But I do know that we are very well subscribed, or there's a lot of interest in the residential. We've had probably more over the last 4 months than we would have expected over the whole program. So that's very promising. So I think there's a lot of takeaways and a lot of development of how we're going to do the commercial and finalizing those pieces being worked on now.
Thanks. And just to add to that, I know that Environment is working with communications and will ensure that they're reaching into InvestGP as well to ensure that gets communicated out. I do know that there is commercial interest and people that are waiting for things to roll out.
Thank you.
If we have no further questions, Councillor Bressie, you do the business.
I am happy to. So I would move that the Financial Administrative Services Committee recommends Council give 3 readings to Bylaw C 1439A, being an amendment to the Clean Energy Improvement Tax Bylaw, amend the 2022 capital plan and update the funding sources for Clean Energy Improvement Program to $1,378,800 debt, $689,400 grant, and $517,100 financial stabilization reserve, and give first readings Bylaw C 1468 as presented. Just speak to this. I'm really excited about this program. I'm excited for our residents that are going to be our residents and in the future businesses that are going to be able to save some cash on their energy needs. This is especially a good program because unlike the federal programs, you don't need to front a huge deposit and wait 6 months to get your money back, which some residents can't participate in those federal programs because they need to front your deposit. So it's exciting to have a program that all residents who own homes can participate in. And I'm also excited for the work that this can bring to local contractors. So all along, it's a great program. I'm glad we're getting it under our feet. Happy to support these changes to it.
That motion is in order. Is there any questions or concerns or debate? I'll call a question.
Mayor Clayton in favor.
And that carries. And the only other item on our agenda is outstanding items list. Chief Whiteway.
Thank you, Chair Blackmore. There's no changes to the outstanding items list as presented.
I'd take a motion. Councillor Palat.
Thanks, Chair Blackmore. I would move that we accept the outstanding items list.
That is in order, and I'll call a question.
Councillor Plott in favor.
Mayor Clayton in favor. I did vote.
And that motion carries. And that concludes our Financial Administrative Services Committee meeting of the state. And we will take a